the club.
Let me answer this, Don.
Hold on, Staffy, before you come in, just one last thing before you come in, bro, yeah? For me, it is a true reflection, Terry, because even last season, I was telling you, Arsenal were winning games, but I wasn't convinced with what they were doing. In their attack, like, Saka's performances were bad, but he was still putting up numbers last year. It's only when they came back from Dubai, really, where they started to perform a little bit better and started to bag a lot more goals. Remember, they battered Sheffield, they battered West Ham, right, in the second half of the season, you know? So it's a recurring thing right now for Arsenal. In attack, they've been poor individually, you know. I don't look at it and think, oh, they've had tough opposition. You can't be speaking out of two mouths. They talk about their team now as if they're fucking Real Madrid, and now you're saying, oh yeah, but we've had tough away games. You know, this is a squad that you've got, yeah. And I told my boy yesterday this as well. You have a squad of 22 players who have injury-prone players in there. Yeah, some of them are saying, yeah, we've got to have everyone fit. Arsenal this season, for me, aren't going to have a fully fit team because if Zinchenko's not injured, it will be Jesus. If it's not Jesus, will be Califuori. If it's not Califuori.
Okay, so first of all, welcome everyone to another video of Shoot the Ball. As you can see, guys, from the title and obviously from the show, I'm doing a reaction video to the Football Terrace's Straight Facts show. For those who don't follow the Football Terrace, I mean, who are probably living under a rock, it's I think Terry and the Football Terrace is one of the best football contents I've seen on YouTube. I'm a huge fan of the channel, and I love the show. I love Straight Facts. I love the top 6 shows as well. Terry, I think, does a very, very good job at running the platform. So in this video, we're seeing Chelsea fan Don basically criticize Arsenal's attack and say that we are poor in attack individually. We don't have these, and obviously, like, we have injury-prone players in a 22-man squad. Look, and I want to dissect this a little bit. So the first thing is he mentioned the fact that we don't have we're poor individually in attack. I mean, I don't know about that because how many goals did Trossard score last season? Did he score 17? And Bukayo Saka, obviously, Bukayo Saka's numbers are great, so I'm pretty sure he's not referring to Saka here. Kai Havertz, ever since he started playing as a striker, he's had 10 goals and 8 assists in 22 games as a striker. So I wouldn't say that we're individually poor. I think some players like Jesus and Martinelli have let the club down, especially last season. Their numbers were quite bad. But I don't think we are as bad as he's making us sound to be. Regarding the 22-man thing, I think that's just insane because, and this is something I argue with Arsenal fans about as well. I think we do have decent depth. I think our backup 11 is pretty decent. He says that, oh yeah, we have injured players. If this guy's injured, that guy will be injured. Yeah, but then most clubs have that issue. Liverpool have that issue. City have that issue. City have had injury problems with Stones last season, with Bernardo Silva, with Grealish, with Doku, Haaland, KDB, who missed half the season. Who's injured now. I don't know if he'll be fit for the Arsenal game, but he was injured against Inter Milan and came off. So I think it's a bit ridiculous to say that, oh, but if this guy gets injured, if that guy gets injured, because that applies to every single team, especially like our main challengers, Man City, it applies to them as well. If Rodri and KDB are out injured for a little while, they're screwed as well. They're in a difficult position. If Haaland is injured, they don't have any backup striker because Alvarez is gone to Atletico Madrid and Oscar Bob is out for a while. So I think you can apply that logic to different teams, not just to Arsenal.
Will be Tomiyasu, yeah? They have players in that team that are injury prone. So I don't look at Arsenal and think they're going to have a fully fit team. Last year was very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. And if they lose Saka for an extended period of time, it's going to be top 4 settings for these.
Wait.
It's going to be
he said top 4. So if we lose Saka, the best we can do is top 4. Is that what he's trying to say? That is ridiculous. So, okay, by that logic, the way City are playing right now, if City lose Haaland, forget winning the league. They have no chance. They won't even challenge for the league. They'll finish 3rd, maybe, if they're lucky. It's the most ridiculous thing like out there. Like, yes, of course, Saka is important to us. I think if we lose Saka for an extended period of time, we definitely don't win the league. Maybe we don't challenge for the league. I don't think we get into a top 4 battle, though. I think we still comfortably finish in top 4. Again, especially with the quality of the other teams around us, I don't think they're anywhere near us. And as I said, it's the same argument you can make for Man City. If they lose Haaland for an extended period of time, then yeah, and let's say we don't lose Saka, we don't lose any of our other main players, I think it's over for them as well. I don't think they challenge. I don't think they win the league. Some games they've won this season, I don't think they win it without Haaland. Like if any other striker plays or any other player plays in that position, I don't think they win. The Brentford game is a great example, right? The game against not Ipswich, because I think they would have won that game anyways. There was another game I think that they struggled in, and they managed to get away. I can't remember which one. There was another game where Haaland scored a banger. I think he scored a hat-trick in that game or something. I can't remember. But if Haaland doesn't play the season for them, if he's injured for like, say, 3 or 4 months, I think they struggle as well. We saw it last season with Rodri. Rodri was missing for how many games, and they couldn't win any of the games he didn't play in. They lost, in fact, most of them. They lost to Newcastle in the League Cup. They lost to Arsenal. They lost to Wolves in the Premier League. They lost to Aston Villa as well. In the Premier League, Rodri didn't play that game. So it's weird for them to say that about Arsenal as if it doesn't apply to the best team in the country.
Top 4 settings for these, man. My comment stuffy, bro.
See, you just made it more complicated for me to come in now. Here's the thing. What Terry said earlier, I didn't agree with, because I feel like it's more by design. I don't think it's more about the oppositions by design, because Spurs and Atalanta are completely different oppositions, yet the approach of the games were very similar. And that just shows you. And what was it, yesterday? Yeah, the game was yesterday. I gave you a match reaction yesterday where I was explaining how they've become way too defensive for my liking. I said they became a little bit too defensive without paying attention to that midfield, and that front line doesn't have enough creation. You know, and I compared it to City. I said City can afford to have the whole 4 center-back thing because they have anomalies in the midfield that create at an insane rate, aka obviously Kevin De Bruyne and them. So it's more by design, and this is why when I'm looking at...
Look, I agree and disagree with Staffy. I agree that, yeah, obviously we have to focus a bit more on the attacking side of things. We have played defensive in the last 2 games. I think some people, I know Staffy didn't say this, but I've seen others on YouTube say things like, Arsenal have been parking the bus, which is such a ridiculous statement to make, because we haven't been parking the bus. Parking the bus is like what Chelsea did against Barcelona in 2012 or against Bayern in 2012. It's what Inter Milan did against Barcelona in 2010. What we have done in the last 2 games is not parking the bus, because we still came out, we still attacked, we still had clear-cut opportunities to score and win the game. So I don't think we've parked the bus. Again, as I said, I know Staffy didn't say that, but I've seen others say that on YouTube. I don't think us playing 4 centre-backs at the back has anything to do with it, though. The reality is Ben White and Timber play as good as fullbacks as any fullback in the league, even going forward. And yes, the chance creation is an issue because we have lost our main creator. But I'll say the same thing I've said on Sad's channel, in Sad's Ash show. That is, it's going to take us time to figure out a system that we can attack without Odegaard. And that'll take, like, in my opinion, it'll take 4, 5, 6 games. And Don mentioned, like, you can't mention the opposition we've faced, but that is a factor, though. We have played Aston Villa away, we have played Spurs away, we're gonna play City away, we've played Atalanta away, we played at home against Brighton with 10 men. Obviously, before that, we were winning 1-0. And Brighton are a good team this season, like they've been playing really well. So the opposition does matter because we play City, and then who do we play after City? I think Leicester at home, right? I don't expect us to play defensive that game. I think we'll play proper attacking football. We'll have possession. We'll create chances, and I think we'll win comfortably that game as well. So the opposition does matter. But I think right now what's happening is it's just a temporary blip in our attack, given that we've lost our main creator and we have to adapt to a new system that doesn't involve him. Okay, let's see.
What I kept telling you, Terry, if Chelsea will not challenge if we're missing our main players, it's the same thing as Arsenal, bro. If Saka...
Chelsea will not challenge even if they have their main players. I'm assuming he means challenge for the league, not top 4. If he's talking about top 4, that's different. But if he's saying challenge for the league, even with your main players there all season, you're not going to challenge for the league.
Somehow goes down, Saliba and that go down, they will not challenge.
But what kind of logic is that? If Saliba goes down, if Saka goes down, okay, so what if Haaland goes down? What if Diaz goes down? What if Rodri goes down? That's such a weird such a weird take. I don't understand the logic. And people keep saying that because the funny thing is, it's not just him. Arsenal fans have been saying that as well. What if we lose this guy and this guy and this guy? So do you want us to have backups for the backups of every single player? It makes no sense. You cannot prepare your team in a way where you have to anticipate 4-5 major injuries to your starting 11. We currently have a backup for every single one of our starting 11 players. Of course, none of the backups are as good as the starting 11 players, but then no team has that. Anyways, excuse me. So I don't get his logic when he says if this guy goes down and this guy goes down. That can be true for any team as well, in my opinion.
Back to top 4 settings for these.
But do you think if Haaland, Rodri, and KDB went out for the whole season, that City would still be as formidable as they are?
Exactly. See, this is where I love the football Terrace, because as a host, Terry checks people when they say shit like that. And you don't see that in a lot of shows. I think there are a few shows where the hosts actually hold people accountable, which is why I'm a huge fan of the football Terrace. It's the exact same logic. If Haaland and Rodri and KDB are out for the season, are they going to win the league comfortably? Are they even going to win the league? I don't think so. If these guys are out, and let's say we don't lose our main players, we definitely win the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, but bro, we've had evidence now of Pep managing to actually find solutions and find a way.
So
right?
we've got evidence of, say, KDB missing a whole season, but they still had loads of stars. If you took, you just mentioned Arsenal's 3 best players. If you took City's 3 best players out, do you believe for the season? But I think that's what, again.
Exactly. And by the way, I'll say this with KDB as well. I don't think they win the league last season if KDB does not come back. Because I think when he came back, he made a massive impact for them in the second half of the season. I don't think they win the league if he's not available. He didn't show up in certain big games, yes, like the Liverpool game at Anfield, the Arsenal game at the Etihad. He didn't show up and he was benched early. But in other games, he's probably one of the reasons they won. Like the Crystal Palace game, they were 1-0 down. He's the one who got them back with a screamer. Yeah, they ended up winning 4-1, but I think his goal was the catalyst to it. The same with the Newcastle game. They were losing 2-1 and he pops up with an amazing individual goal and then a brilliant KDB-esque kind of assist to Oscar Bob. And they were all the games where he played a big role. So I don't think they win the league if KDB does not come back in the second half of last season.
I don't disagree with a lot of what you've said, but I do agree. If Arsenal lose Saliba, Odegaard, Rice, and Saka for a long period of time, they're not going to win the league. But I don't think any team, any top team in the world that's in a title race based on what we think about their team, if you took Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Bellingham, and
I get the point. They don't win the league. Okay, let's say they kept Saliba in there because their defense is good. Yeah, I don't think their defense is going to be enough to go and win them the league without Saka, for example. They need Saka to stay fit for majority of this.
Yeah, but I can use the same argument with City, who probably rely a lot more on Haaland than we rely on Saka. I think if you take away Haaland, even if you keep everyone else fit, I still see City struggling in games this season. People will reference the fact that they played with a false 9 3 seasons ago before Haaland came. Yeah, but that was 3 seasons ago. Right now, everything they have done over the last 2 seasons is set up with someone like Haaland up top. So now that let's say if he's out for like 4, 5, 6 months, they're going to struggle to adapt back to that kind of system that requires to play with a false 9. And even with that system, I don't think they necessarily win as comfortably as they win right now with Haaland playing, in my opinion. Because I think a lot of teams sort of adapted to that kind of system now, and I think it gives us an edge if Haaland is out. It's the same exact logic. Okay, so this is another one of my favorite content creators on YouTube, Footy Judge Mo, getting amazing channels. So make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to his channel and liking all the videos. You'll find the link to both their channels in the description, to the Football Terrace and Footy Judge Mo. I'm pretty sure most of you guys would be subscribed already. But yeah, like I decided to pick 2 videos from these 2 content creators because I just respect their work a lot, and I think they both do an excellent job hosting some of these shows. Now, Rivals Rumble, for those who don't know about it, like it's basically like an agenda-driven show, at least from what I gather, based on the number of times I've watched it. Fans come with their agendas. They try to push it through, which is why you will see some crazy eccentric takes here. Judge Mo does have another show that he does on a weekly basis, I think, called The Rational League, which is a lot more, a lot better, in my opinion, in terms of football analysis, because he brings on like more rational people that don't necessarily have like crazy takes, and they actually like try to keep it as unbiased as possible. So we'll just dissect something that's been said on Footy Judge Mo's channel here. I think it was regarding Price. Let's hear it.
I actually want to speak today. I'm gonna start with Declan Rice in the 8. This is not gonna work, by the way, bro. Bro, he literally was
Look
passing.
at Ahmed, he's only ready to come back. Look at this guy.
I am being serious.
Man looks like
I
actually took his bib off already. Like,
people think I have an agenda. I literally praised the Declan Rice all season last season. He was Arsenal's best player by far, right? But this new thing that we're gonna play him at the 8, bro. Today, the guy literally Atalanta. By the way, Atalanta are not strong, bro. The guy can't pass the ball. Like he just. What happened to these guys in the summer? What did Arteta do to these guys, bro? This guy Declan Rice last season averaged 95% pass accuracy, and by the way, 40.
Okay, I'm confused because in the same sentence he said this guy cannot pass the ball, but then praises his 95% passing accuracy from last season. So is it that he can pass the ball, but he's having a bad form right now or a bad patch? Or are you saying he cannot pass the ball and the 95% accuracy was just an irrelevant stat? I think that's so disingenuous from Mo. I'm assuming what he meant was in this Atalanta game, he couldn't pass the ball. Which again, like one game is not enough for you to put like a blanket statement on his whole ability in terms of passing, because you literally praised it like a few seconds later saying he's averaged 95% pass accuracy. Rice is a very good passer of the ball. He's not like Odegaard level passing where he can create and give some amazing through balls, but he is a very good passer. And the guy had 8 assists last season. There's a reason why he takes our set pieces from the left side, right? Because he's good at crossing the ball. Someone who's not good at passing will not be your main set piece taker on the left. So I think, that's a bit of a horrendous take. He's had like a bad start. I wouldn't even say it's a bad start. I just think it's below his standard kind of start. I don't think he's been abysmal the way people have made it seem, the way people make him seem. I think the red card he got against Brighton kind of exaggerated things tremendously. Maybe some people are still criticizing him of the Euros he's had, but then how many England players stunk up in the Euros? Are they going to criticize everyone? Phil Foden was horrendous in the Euros. I'm pretty sure he's not going to get the same sort of energy, but anyways.
50% of his passes or 50% were forward. What happened to this guy? Can't dribble now, can't carry the ball, what happened to him?
He wasn't as good as you made it out.
Yeah, I think that's also a bit of an exaggeration. Can't dribble now, can't carry the ball. Like that's just, bro, it's been 4 or 5 games and he's missed one of them. So let's relax, please. I don't think he was bad against Wolves. Aston Villa, Rodgers gave him and Thomas Partey the runaround, but I don't think he was that bad either in that game. And then obviously Brighton, we saw what happened.
That's what happened.
No, he was.
That's the reason. He wasn't as good because that's
He
because
was,
you
Ahmed.
guys.
Let me hear Ahmed's take here.
This is the problem with Premier.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip this, and I'll tell you why I'm going to skip this, because I've seen this guy, what's his name, Ahmed, on Judge Mo's channel before, and Don Hassam's, big up Don Hassam, and he clearly has agenda-driven takes in everything he says, right? And one of them is Rice agenda. He, for whatever reason, doesn't rate Rice, doesn't like him. I think he likes the favela kind of footballers who do nutmegs and the rainbows and flicks and all that kind of stuff. I don't think he rates footballers who cannot do like Joga Bonito on the pitch, which is mad because I don't think anyone in his club can do that. So I'm gonna skip Bastos because whatever he's saying is clearly just agenda driven. It's just deluded stuff. So it's not even worth getting into, in my opinion.
The issue with what you're saying is Rice is playing the 8 for Arsenal, and we saw a player last season play the 8 for Arsenal, or 2 seasons ago, and performed quite well, right? Granit Xhaka. The only reason why people rated him in the end is the GA he brought to the team and the way he played on the left-hand side. So the issue is, if Rice is doing more defensively and he's not doing good offensively, that's good for half his game and the team's game, but not about the other half. My point is...
Wait. This is ridiculous. Because he just praised Granit Xhaka from 2 seasons ago and said the reason why people are praising him is because his GA was good and all that stuff. When Rice had better GA last season than Granit Xhaka the year before. Granit Xhaka had 7 goals, 7 assists. Rice had 7 goals, 8 assists. So what the hell are we doing here? He's like, he can do half the work, which is the defensive side. No, he's excellent in the defensive side, but he's also been very, very good on the offensive side. this nonsensical crap that people keep spewing that, oh, Rice cannot play the 8 is mad, because he played the 8 for majority of last season with Jorginho on his side or with Partey, who came in later. And he's done a fantastic job in the 8, just like how he was doing in the 6. In fact, I prefer him as an 8, because as an 8, he still gives you the energy. He tracks back, he presses forward, he wins the ball in the final third, which is amazing for us because it sets us, it helps us win the ball in dangerous positions and put teams under immense pressure. But he's also a goal threat. The guy can shoot. Like, if people want to criticize his assists and say that, yeah, well, some of his assists came from set pieces, which is stupid, by the way. The reason why he's taking our set pieces, as I just said a minute ago, is because he's such a good crosser of the ball. He's very good at giving some of these long passes, which is why he's taking the set pieces. But I think his assists only had like 2 or 3 set piece assists, if I'm not wrong. I think the other assists he had were all from open play. And the goals he scored are obviously from open play as well, right? So I don't get this logic. He's actually a very good goal threat. He's way better, in my opinion, he's way better than Granit Xhaka going forward, because he can shoot just like Granit Xhaka. Maybe Granit Xhaka's through balls are better, but I think in terms of long passing, in terms of carrying the ball forward, in terms of the energy, the fitness, tracking back, winning the ball in the final third, winning the ball in the defensive third, winning the ball in the middle of the pitch, I think Rice is better in all these factors. Rice is also better in terms of heading the ball, in my opinion. So he's a better aerial threat, and we've seen him score crucial goals. He scored the winner against Luton Town when we won 4-3. He scored the header against Brentford when we won that game 2-1 at the Emirates. Bruh, like, some of the takes are just mad when it comes to Rice. It's extremely reactionary, and that's what people are, unfortunately. And it's disappointing to see like 3 very obviously very intelligent Arsenal fans who obviously know ball not check, or maybe they check him later. I'm obviously going to keep playing the video and seeing, but the fact that they didn't check him on this is just, I don't know, I find that quite puzzling.
When Odegaard's not there, Rice is in the 8, Havertz is in the 8, who we all know is not a good midfielder. That's why you see the issues you saw today. And I believe most logical people will agree with me, you're going to see moving forward. Because who in the 8 out of them 2 is going to create, be progressive.
Yeah, but again, this is where there's a lot of misconception. I don't think... So Havertz in the 8 sucks. I think that's one of the worst decisions we've seen at Arsenal when he played at the 8. I don't think he'll be playing him at the 8 when he's playing him in midfield. He's talking about, Havertz in the midfield in the 8, but it's not the same thing. He could play as a 10 behind the striker, which is where Odegaard mainly plays. And Odegaard plays like a between 8 and a 10, so he's always in the final third, but sometimes he does drop deep and collect the ball. Havertz won't have to do that. We have a pivot. This is not going to be like Havertz playing in the 8 last season with Rice as the lone 6. We have Partey as the 6 now, Rice in the 8, and Havertz is going to play ahead of them in the 10 behind the striker. I don't think we need to replace Odegaard for these next 2 months. Let's say if he's out for 2 months. I don't think we need to replace Odegaard like for like. We need someone to come in and do exactly what Odegaard does. I think what Arteta is trying to do, or what he's going to try to do, in my opinion, is he's going to try playing Havertz or Trossard, one of them, behind the striker. So basically play with 2 strikers in a way, and try to adapt to a different system. Because the reality is, over the last 1 year, we've been attacking in a way that revolves around Odegaard and the way he creates. So when he's not available, you have to adapt to a new system now. And maybe, by the way, if Moreno was not injured, I think he could have still played in a similar fashion. Because while Moreno's, I don't think is as good as Odegaard, obviously. But just like Odegaard, he presses forward, he wins the ball in dangerous positions, he gives good through balls. So maybe his plan was that I can play Moreno, Rice, and Partey. So basically 2 8s and a 6. And I still get decent output. Like, I get good output from Moreno. I get hopefully similar output from Rice that he gave us last season. But obviously nobody could account for what happened to Moreno when he got injured in our first training session. So I think what he's going to try to do right now in the next few weeks is just keep playing with the 2 striker system and hope that Havertz can give us something else. Like, obviously he won't be able to give us the creativity of Odegaard, but maybe he can be that extra man in the box, like being at the end of some of the crosses from Saka, from Trossard or Martinelli, whoever crosses from the left, or Ben White, being that extra man in the box so he can, pull defenders away and allow Jesus, let's say if Jesus is playing as the front man, to have more space. So I don't think the answer to Odegaard's absence is to find someone who can do what Odegaard does. I think the answer is to find someone who can do a job in a different kind of system. It's basically like if City lose Haaland, what are they going to do now? because they cannot play anyone in that role. Alvarez is gone. Oscar Bob is out for majority of the season, if I'm not wrong. They don't have any striker who can come in and play exactly like how Haaland plays. In fact, there's no striker out there in the world who probably can replace Haaland and do what Haaland does, right? I don't think there's many strikers out there in the world who could score the goal Haaland scored against Brentford when Ederson gave that long pass, because they won't have that Ederson, they won't have that Haaland pace, they won't have that Haaland strength, and they won't necessarily have that Haaland incredible finishing. That chip was an amazing finish. So if Haaland gets injured and he's out for a while, they're obviously going to adapt their system. They're going to probably go back to playing with a false nine because they'll have no other choice. It's the same thing with Liverpool. If Salah is out, let's say for 2 or 3 months, and it's going to put like a right winger and say, do exactly what Salah does. Of course not, because that's not possible. They're going to have to adapt to playing in a different way. They're going to probably say, hey, let's attack more on the left now. Let's rely more on Luis Diaz. Let's try and build more from Szoboszlai's side, let's say from the middle, because now we don't have any right winger who can create the way Salah does. It's the exact same logic with Odegaard. If Odegaard is missing, we obviously have to change the way we play. I don't think what he's saying makes sense.
Be attacking, risk seeking.
I agree. With you.
Havertz will try. Havertz is try, but Havertz will try. Sorry, what's it called? He's not quality. He's not good enough. Doesn't in midfield. He's good up front, holding up the play.
I agree with you on that.
But yeah, which is why if Havertz plays in the 10, he can exactly use those strengths that this guy just mentioned. Ches, I think that's his name. Ches, yeah, he just mentioned, which is holding up the ball, attacking the ball, being that threat inside the box. We don't have to play that same system, and people need to realize that. And we've shown that this season. We've shown that not just this season, even last season, we have adapted to certain players being missing. We've had different sort of playing styles. So I think people are exaggerating a little bit. Obviously, Odegaard is a big miss. But I do think we have the squad depth to manage that. And we've seen that against Spurs. And even against Atalanta, people are making it seem like we've lost the last 2 games when we've basically conceded no goals in the last 2 games. Yeah, we drew against Atalanta, which was disappointing. It could have been a different thing if Martinelli could finish against Spurs or against Atalanta. Yeah, we won against Spurs, but no thanks to Martinelli. And we could have won against Atalanta if Martinelli could freaking finish his chances. And we always struggle away against some of these Champions League sides. Odegaard was available away against Porto last season, and he didn't do anything. He had a horrendous game. We struggled. We couldn't win that game. So away against some European teams, we end up struggling regardless. I think even if Odegaard played, we still probably would have struggled. We might have created 1 or 2 more chances, but it would have still been a very, very difficult game. And I don't think it would have been I don't think we would necessarily have walked away with a win, given how we performed that day.
All these guys on the midfield, how are you going to score goals? How are you going to create chances?
Okay, so Judge Mo is asking how are we going to create chances. Like Odegaard is our only creator. Like Saka doesn't create and give assists. Like Rice hasn't created and got chances. Like Havertz didn't have 7 assists last season. Like Jesus cannot create. Like Trossard cannot create. Like Martinelli cannot create. Well, Martinelli right now cannot create shit. He's been in horrendous form. But my point is we have players that can create chances. Of course, no one is on Odegaard's level, as I've mentioned, which is why we have to adapt to a new system. But you cannot be asking such disingenuous, or I mean, you can as a host, obviously, and you should challenge people. But this is where I'm hoping Arsenal fans can respond and mention that we do have other players that can create. We just have to play in a different system. It's like when Salah creates the most for Liverpool, but when he's out, when he goes to the AFCON, do they stop playing football? Do they lose every game? I could be wrong, but I think they won every single game he was missing last season. And even the AFCON before then, that quad season when he went missing, when him and Sadio Mane were out for a little while, they won, I think, every game that in that period as well, without like their main creator. I don't know if Arsenal fans will respond. Let's see.
I think you are 14th in the league in the XG created against the oppositions.
And where are we in the league?
And it's gonna get back.
And where are we?
But this is what happened last season.
And where are we?
Guys,
and where are we? Like, man's talking, we're 14th in the XG. You're talking like we're over here. I don't care about, we're still second. We're still there.
Yeah,
I don't care about where.
Okay, so I have two thoughts on this, right? I understand what Mo is saying about, you're 14th in the XG in the league. I think that matters. I disagree with Jay. Like, he's saying, where are we? Yeah, we're second right now. But that could eventually change, right? Like if this continues, we could struggle. We saw it last season in the first half. We were like I think 15th at some point or 16th in the table for big chances created. And I think that affected us up until the end of the first half of the season. And then second half, we started like creating abundance of chances. And obviously we went up and our performances looked a lot better as well. So I disagree with Jay when he's saying like these stats are irrelevant. I think anyone who says like stats are irrelevant, like you just don't understand them. Like stats are incredibly important. That's how you assess everything. But he also has a point when he's saying that we have managed to grind out results with this XG being quite low. And if we take last season as the blueprint, we struggled in terms of chance creation in the first half, and we still finished with 89 points, which means this is extremely salvageable. It's not as big of an issue as Mo or others would try and make it seem, in my opinion.
We could be 20th.
I was just gonna say that listen, the reality is like, you know, we should, as with any position, you should have like a backup, right? And I just felt like obviously let Vieira go, and like the only guy that was really there that's like in terms of central creation was Odegaard. So if I'm the manager, I'm thinking I need to have at least another guy there. So like, why did that not happen? Could you just not find someone in the market, or what's going on there? Because like now it's looking like you got Havertz there, who you tried out last time, which didn't work last season.
Yeah, but again, I generally think he wanted Moreno to be an option. I think he was going to start Moreno, Rice, and Odegaard, but I think he probably thought about that, which is why he let go of Smith Rowe and Vieira. He probably thought, even if Odegaard is out, I'm not starting Smith Rowe, I'm not starting Vieira because I don't rate them. Yeah, he's probably one of the people who wanted Vieira in, and he probably was in on that 30 million that we spent for him. But he could have realized that was a mistake, and he's not the player he thought he's going to be. And the same with Smith Rowe. He clearly doesn't rate Smith Rowe. So I disagree with what Ahmed, I think his name, Ahmed is trying to say about we should have kept Vieira, for example, or someone who could create chances. Because if he doesn't rate them, he's not going to play them anyways. I think Arteta's probably thinking, I'd rather start Moreno, Rice, and Partey in the midfield if Odegaard is not available, instead of playing Smith Rowe or Vieira there, right? Again, you cannot talk about the Moreno injury because nobody could have accounted for that, right? The same way how I think Arteta might right now be thinking, I'd rather start Havertz in the 10 role, where he'll give me something different that Odegaard cannot give me in terms of being a goal threat, getting into at the end of the crosses, being that second striker and being and finishing some of the chances, and being a bigger goal threat. Because Havertz is a bigger goal threat than Odegaard in terms of scoring, right? He probably thinks I would rather play with that system than have Vieira or Smith Rowe because I don't rate these guys. So we shouldn't. I wouldn't necessarily criticize Arteta for that because I genuinely I don't rate Vieira at all. I do rate Smith Rowe, but I don't think he's a creator either. I think Smith Rowe is like Havertz. He's someone who wants to get into the box. He wants to score. He wants to get at the end of passes versus be the one who creates chances and give those passes to the strikers. So he probably saw I have someone like Havertz who can do that role anyways. So I don't want to keep Smith Rowe. So I don't think Arteta's done, in my opinion, I don't think he's done much wrong in that regard. Okay, this is the last part I'm going to react to, and the Rivals Rumble show regarding, I think they're speaking about like Saka.
Even got injured. They parked the bus against Brighton at home, like 38% possession against Brighton at home. Parked the bus against us. Parked the bus against Atalanta. It's like a washed team this season in the Serie A. Like,
I don't think Will understands what park the bus means. I don't know if he knows what it like. Park the bus is what like Chelsea did against Bayern Munich and Barcelona in the 2012 Champions League. Park the bus is what Inter Milan did against Barcelona. I think that's where the term first came from. I could be wrong. Where they had everyone back in their defensive third. When you say park the bus, first of all, the Brighton thing is such a bad example because we always have less possession against Brighton. When we smashed them 4-2 at their ground 2 seasons ago, we had like 32 or 33 or 34% possession. Last season, we beat them home and away, and we had like 48% possession at the Emirates. And I think we had 42% at their ground when we beat them 3-0. So Brighton is such a bad example. Same with Spurs. They had more possession than us last season. We beat them 3-2, and we beat them this season 1-0, again with less possession. And that's also without having Rice and Odegaard. I think if we had Rice and Odegaard, the possession would have been a lot closer. And when they come to the Emirates, they're not going to average more than 60% possession. Atalanta, fair enough. Atalanta, I think we should have. I don't think we parked the bus. We definitely did not park the bus. But in my opinion, we should have held the possession a lot more. Because a couple of times we got the ball in our defensive third and we just hoofed it forward and cleared it. So I agree we played more defensive that game, but parking the bus is such a crazy statement. It's mad that these guys are not. I hope these guys correct him on it.
Come on, like
They parked the
let's
bus
not
at
act
Brighton
like
at
this
home,
is all
though.
down to Odegaard
Bro, they
being
didn't
injured.
park the bus at Brighton at home.
Yeah, we did.
Leave it. Let
Yeah,
him-
they
let-
did.
let-
I want
Yeah.
Will to carry this on because they
And
beat
they
Villa.
only, they only controlled the ball a lot more after Rice got sent off. Before that, it was they didn't have that kind of domination.
He's dead,
This is
by the way.
what happens when you
No
just
one
look
is
at
saying
stats,
he's a
bro.
dead
You actually
player.
got to watch the game, bro.
No one is
Let
saying
him,
that
let
he's
him,
a dead
let him,
player. He just
let me live in the delusion.
Because
Sorry.
in the same breath, you can also say, by your logic, you could also say that Inter parked the bus against Man City when they didn't.
Why?
You watched the game, they didn't.
Why did they park the bus against Man City?
Because they
Yeah, but that is your logic. They had less possession against Man City. What defines parking the bus for you? Clearly using possession stats, right? What was the possession stats of Inter Milan and Man City? I need to check this now. Man City, Inter, 0-0, 40% possession. So by your logic, Inter parked the bus.
They had more possession than them.
Possession doesn't talk about parking the bus.
No,
it's where
you
on the pitch you
you
spend the
put-
majority of
you-
your time.
you
And
put-
if
you
you
put-
spend the majority of time
when
in
you
your
said it-
final third,
when you said
in your
it, you brought
defensive third,
possession.
that means you're parking the bus, bro.
When you said it, you
But
brought
why?
possession. You didn't
But
say,
no, but no.
you kept
Why?
possession.
No, no, but also,
Yeah,
but also
exactly.
why? Why?
I agree with Saad. When he mentioned parking the bus first, he spoke only about possession. He didn't speak about where is the possession being held. So I think that's such a weird, disingenuous thing. And even when it comes to like chances created and stuff, like City had 22 shots to Inter Milan's 13. I'm trying to find like their passing, the passing stats. So just let me check it. Yeah, so I've just checked it. So 52% of the possession was in the of the entire possession of the entire game was in the defensive third of Inter Milan. 35% was in the middle third, and 13% was in City's defensive side. So again, I don't know. He's talking out of his ass. If Arsenal have been parking the bus, this is definition of parking the bus as well by that logic. And by the way, that's Inter Milan and Man City. So now let's look at Arsenal and Spurs, because he said that's parking the bus, but Inter Milan isn't. 37% of the ball, 37. So the most possession, 38%, was in the middle third of the pitch. It wasn't in our defensive side. It wasn't in their defense. It was in the middle of the pitch. 37%, which is the next highest possession, was in the away third, which is basically in our defensive zones, right? And 24% was in their defensive side. So how is that parking the bus? By its logic, if he's like, you can't look at possession, you have to look at where the possession is being held. This was not parking the bus. Inter Milan was parking the bus against Man City. I'll say this, yeah. I think Will uses stats a lot of times, and sometimes the reason why people sometimes lose debates to him is because they try to argue the stat, which is a factual thing. Instead, they should be attacking the relevance of that stat. So the stat he's mentioned is irrelevant, right? The stat he's mentioned about possession in the beginning clearly is irrelevant because he's then backtracked later and said you have to look at where the possession was. If someone could pull up the stats immediately, you will see that actually there was way better distribution of possession across the middle third, away third, and the home third compared to the Inter Milan Man City game, which means that was more of a park the bus kind of game, which I don't think Inter Milan did. I don't think Inter Milan parked the bus, but if we go by his definition, Inter Milan parked the bus way more than what Arsenal did against Spurs. So yeah, it's just sad. And the thing is, none of the guys in the panel will be able to check him on this because they'll waste time arguing on the validity of a stat he's mentioned, which just defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
Against Brighton, why did Arsenal park the bus?
Because
What was
they
the
had
rationale?
you under pressure. They took the ball,
Why-
carried it
why
into
did-
your
why
defensive
did-
third, and you
but why
guys just allowed it to happen.
What happened that changed the dynamics of the game? After 45 minutes,
Not true. Before the red card, they had more possession.
yes, but he's talking about the position. He's talking about the possession of where the game was.
Maybe
being
I was
played.
wrong.
Yeah, again, Mo. So Mo does a very good job sometimes, like holding people accountable, but he's done a terrible job in this scenario. Will mentioned it's not about just the possession, it's also about where the possession is being held. So if you're just going by possession, right? So is it just possession, or is it where the possession is being played, right? So, and again, the Brighton thing is such a bad example, and I don't know why Sa, Jay, and Olu didn't mention this. We always have less possession against Brighton, and we have battered them over the last 2 seasons. We beat them 3-0, 2-0, and 4-2. Yeah, we lost 3-0 at the Emirates 2 seasons ago, but that was after the league was done and our players were kind of demoralized and the league was over. But regardless, whether we win, whether we lose, we always have less possession against Brighton. So it's a horrendous take by Will, but it is what it is. I guess it's true to the name, Rivals Rumble. So as I said, it's an agenda show, so sometimes agendas will get pushed. And some clear flaws in someone's takes are never going to be challenged properly, either because the panel doesn't do a good job, in my opinion, challenging them. And I think the Arsenal fans, big up to all of them. I have massive respect for all three. Obviously, Saad is my brother, but I think they could have done a lot better. They could have done a much better job challenging him. I think Mo as well. Like, I don't know if he intentionally let some of these things go, or if he just wasn't aware of how to check some of the inaccuracies that Will has in his argument. But look, yeah, there you go. That was it, guys. This was the reaction videos. Again, you'll find the channel description, the channel links in the description for both the Football Terrace and Footy Judge Mo. Both amazing content creators. I think the best that I follow, at least on YouTube. Great content that they release every single day. So make sure you guys are liking their channel, and hopefully I can do more of these reaction videos moving forward. Peace up, guys. Take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe this channel as well. So big up, guys. Take care.